There
Well,
we
hey,
go.
everybody. I'm Holly Tate, Senior Vice President of Growth at Leadr. And today I am joined by Clint Nowry, who's the Executive Pastor at Church of the Viera. Clint, you and the Church of the Viera team have been with Leadr for over a year now. And I'm just so grateful that you joined us today to share your story. So that's where I would love to start is if you could introduce yourself to those that are watching and a little bit about your role at Church of the Viera.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, glad to do it. My name's Clint, and we've been with Leadr over a year, which is hard to believe. It's been quite a year. It's been a long year in some ways and a short year, as we all know, with COVID and everything else that's happening in our country, in our world. But yeah, we've absolutely loved the partnership with Leadr, which I'm sure we're going to get into here in a little bit. Me personally, I've been executive pastor at Church of Viera for coming up on 5 years, and we are in the Space Coast of Florida. So we're in that cool area where we get to see rocket launches between SpaceX and NASA and all the just incredible things that are happening in this community. We kind of get a front row seat. As a matter of fact, I was at my son's football practice the other day, and all of a sudden all of our whole team just started, oh, there's a rocket launch. So that's just kind of part of, in the night sky, you're seeing this huge fire go up in the air, which was really, really neat. It's a cool part of living here. But yeah, Church at Viera started in 1992. It was a church plant. Our senior pastor, Mark Ragsdale, started. And so we're coming up on 30 years, which is just been incredible to be up. Like I said, I've been here 5 years, and it's been really cool to see how God has blessed Mark's faithfulness and his leadership in this area in our community.
That's awesome. I'm so jealous that you get to see the rockets because I'm in Houston and
Yep.
we're mission control, but we don't
Right.
get to see the
Right.
rockets take off. So you guys
Yeah,
do.
you guys are doing y'all are doing a lot of the work, and we get to see the benefit of it, which is
Exactly.
it's really neat. Yeah, it's really neat.
That's awesome. Well, okay. So tell us about, you've been there for 5 years as the executive pastor, and I can only imagine the last year and a half probably feels like another 5 years in and of itself. But
Yeah.
as you have been there and you're thinking about building systems and processes and developing the team, what have been your biggest leadership challenges as the executive pastor?
Well, you're right, Holly. The last year has been unique in its challenge, but in some ways the challenge is the same. In leadership, the challenge is how you drive and create culture. And so that's where, that's probably the biggest challenge that we face. And COVID just made that a little different, but it didn't necessarily change the challenge. And so that's a big part of what my role is what does the culture look like? What do we want the culture to look like? What are the factors that play into that? And how do we shape that? And ultimately helping that culture drive our mission. Our mission at Church at Viera is to share grace and see Christ change lives. Ultimately, that's what we want to accomplish. And so we have about 25 people on our team. And it's my role to kind of help shape that culture and drive that culture so that we're accomplishing that mission. And so the biggest challenge is doing just that, is getting 25 unique personalities and strengths and gifts with leaders to move in the same direction and to learn how to communicate best with them, how to develop them, how to encourage them, how to challenge and coach them and appreciate them. So that they feel like they're a part of our mission and we're all moving, like I said, in the same direction. So that's our biggest, I'd say that's the biggest challenge of the role that I'm in, but it's also kind of what lights me up and what I love to do. I'm a big team guy. And so that's just kind of, it's a good fit.
That's awesome. I know leadership would be so much easier if it didn't have to do with people, right? Because people are dynamic. But that's the beauty of it, is we have this responsibility to steward those that God has entrusted in our sphere of influence and on our team. And it's hard, but so rewarding, as you said, at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. And that's, any of those days where I think, man, this would be a lot easier if you didn't have to deal with people. I have to remember that I am one of those people. And in some ways, in some ways, I'm sure there are days when that's said about me, so it's just a good reminder of, yeah, absolutely. We want to accomplish what God has called us to do through our team and through crew members. We call our volunteers crew members.
That's fun.
And,
Hey,
and
that goes with the
crew,
space, the rocket
yeah,
ships, crew
exactly.
members. I like it.
Yeah. So it's leading them, creating culture. I'm a firm believer in what we create in the top of our organization will flow all the way down through. And so
That's awesome.
culture, like I said, is a big deal.
Okay, so you've got your team of 25, all unique individuals, different personalities, working on different problems that they're trying to solve. And then what you just said of how do we maintain our culture and infuse it through the organization from the top down. So as you were thinking through those challenges, what solutions were you looking for to help you build and maintain that culture throughout the organization?
What's interesting, I was thinking about Leadr, like we said, we've come up on a year now that we've been using a Leadr at Church of Viera. And I wasn't necessarily in a position a year ago where I thought I have to find a solution. This isn't working. I didn't come from that place. It was more, I was a kind of a write it on a yellow notepad kind of leader. And I collect, and I have in my office, I have, pad after pad after pad of these just big yellow notebook, legal pad type things where I would take notes. I would be in meetings. And I began to learn that it wasn't effective. It was working against me. I'm not the most organized guy in the world, and that's a big part of the role. And so I discovered Leadr, and it just kind of intrigued me to think, wow, maybe this is a way that might help, again, with communication and culture and how we're creating and trying to accomplish the goals that are in front of us. And so it was just kind of something that honestly I kind of stumbled across, and I said, you know what, let me see what these guys are about. And the piece that was most intriguing to me was the team. I first met with Hillary and then a couple of other folks, and I'm like, hey, these guys are sharp. I don't know exactly how they're going to help me, but I want to be a part of and see what they're doing. So that's kind of how the relationship started with Leadr. It wasn't this, oh man, I'm drowning here, and man, I need help, and let me go search for a solution. It was something that I kind of stumbled upon, and I found, wow, these folks this is a sharp team. What are they doing? And it turns out it ended up being a tremendous partnership for Church at Viera, huge value add for us. And I can share some of the reasons why that was. Would that be helpful?
Yes. And I just wanted to agree with you. I've been on the Leadr team full-time since March, and the team is the reason I joined. Is I was like, man, these people who are committed to the mission of developing 1 million leaders are amazing people. And so you're so right. That's what attracted me to even work at Leadr. So I'm glad you saw that in our team as well.
Right.
But yeah, Clint, tell me, so as you have been, what stuck out to you about the actual tool as you were going through onboarding and implementation, and then now a year later, what are the key factors about Leadr as a tool that have really transformed your team?
I'm an idea guy. I love to think of ideas. I love to dream. Whatever I'm doing, I'm constant. My mind, I think, in the executive role, in the church world in general, we're constantly thinking about how we can maximize our influence. We're constantly thinking about how we can encourage our team, or how we can be more impactful in our community. And I love to hire people that think that way too. We love that kind of person on our team. And that's really, like I said, I love to come up with ideas, but I was writing them down. Sometimes I'm out cutting the grass or doing, I don't have a yellow pad with me. And so there were so many things that would either come to my mind, or they would be shared, ideas that would be shared with me that they just got lost. And Leadr created a way for me to, first of all, I was thinking it was going to be helpful for me as a leader. Personally, I wasn't necessarily thinking, okay, this might be a big value add to our team. It turns out it was, but originally it was more, this might help me get rid of some of these yellow notepads that I'm carrying around, and really kind of keep a lot of my thoughts and my plans and help me get organized. That's originally how it kind of started. The relationship started with Leadr. And then as we dug into it further, it became, wow, this is going to be something that's going to help with our one-on-ones, being very intentional with when they're happening, what's discussed. Again, I'm a very relational guy, so I would have a one-on-one. Yeah, come on in, man. My door's always open. We'd have these meetings. How you doing? What's going on? Oh, I forgot I'm supposed to talk about that. Or they would leave the room and I forgot we were supposed to kind of hit on that. And Leadr really helped organize and helped me plan and think out, what do one-on-ones need to look like? What should they look like? What's going to be most valuable? So that was kind of the starting place for really organizing some of those thoughts and those ideas. It really helped with that. And then from there, there's other pieces that were tremendous. Like I said, creating culture has to do with not just your one-on-ones, but also how are you appreciating your team? How are you developing them? What are you using to coach them? And inside of Leadr, they have this, there's a learning where you're constantly keeping learnings in front of your, hey, here's an article I read. Here's a video. Let's watch this video and answer these questions. And another piece that I really loved about it is you can do it individually with one person, or you can do it team-wide. And then you can also set it up. Well, this is our executive team. Our executive team is going to study this. Our leadership team, a little bit broader group, we're going to study this, and we're going to talk about these ideas. The whole staff from there, we're going to look at this, and I want to challenge them to do this. So there's just a lot of facets to it that turned out to be really helpful. The last piece I will say is just we talked about the one-on-ones, we talked about the learning, but also soliciting feedback. That's another thing that in the church world, we run so fast. And I know a lot of folks that will watch this will say, man, we're just clipping along at a really good rate. And you don't often think, okay, we do this event, we plan, we execute, we celebrate. Make sure that you're going back and reviewing it. Make sure that you're going back and soliciting feedback. And that was another piece that, again, Leadr just put it right in front of you. They made it easy, and they made it organized so that all of that is in one place, which was, again, a tremendous value add to our team.
Absolutely. I love what you said about the one-on-one meeting, that, it was more organic and open door policy. And one thing that we hear a lot is, will using Leadr make those more rigid or less relational? But it sounds like, from what I'm hearing from you, is that it actually allowed you to be more intentional, because you didn't forget. It was like, okay, I can be relational and also follow up on whether it's a work thing or a relational thing. It's all there in one place to be more intentional with your team. So how did that implementing Leadr across the team, do you feel like it helped you be more relational to add some of that structure? And how did the team overall respond to using Leadr?
Our team has responded well to it. Of course, there's a learning curve. Anytime you bring a new system in, there is a learning curve with that. But the Leadr team did a great job of saying, hey, we're going to set up meetings. We're going to train your team. We're going to get them all lined up. So that was a very smooth process. The word you're using there, intentional, is exactly, if I were to describe how Leadr has helped Church of Viera in one word, that's the word I would use: intentional. Whether that's one-on-ones, whether that's how are we training and developing, whether that's how are we soliciting feedback from an event or an annual review, whatever that looks like. There are so many facets that allow you to be, as leaders, we have these ideas of, man, we want to do this, but oftentimes because we get busy, we lose we lose steam, we get distracted, whatever, you name it. It has really helped me be far more intentional. And I'm a relational leader, so there's no system that's going to come in and change that. It's not going to change who you are as a leader. It's not going to change the way that you operate. That's personality driven. It just allows you to be more intentional in your own style. So if you want to be a relational leader, this will help you intentionally be that. If you want to be an organized leader, this will give you some intentionality behind that. So whatever it looks like, this system can it can come behind you and help you allow you to be the best version of yourself. It's a tool that will help you to do that. That's the way I would describe it.
That's awesome. Well, Clint, what advice would you give another executive leader out there that's thinking about rolling Leadr out to their team? What advice would you give them to better care for and develop their team?
That's a good question. This the role that we're in, if it's an executive pastor, I would say you're wearing a lot of hats. You got a lot of plates spinning. That's just that's just the nature of the beast. And so again, Leadr can come behind you and help lighten the load. And as I've learned and gotten further into this role, that's part of what we want as leaders. We want to be lid lifters. We want to come alongside of, and we want to help our team. We want to help the senior pastor. We want to encourage, we want to equip our crew, our volunteers, and we want our team to do that too. And so that's what Leadr has helped us do. It's lightened our load. Ultimately, that's been the win, is it's come alongside of me and said, you know what, we're going to put these systems in place that's going to allow me to be a better leader. And I've seen that on our team as well. So that I would say, give it a shot, give it a shot. I'm kind of skeptical, we all know, we get the emails. Oh, this is going to help you. This will do that. We all get those emails. We delete them. Nobody reads them. I mean, come on, that's life. And in this instance, I'm so thankful that I was able to discover Leadr, because it really has helped our team. So I'd say give it a shot. That's the advice I would give, is just give it a try and see if it'll help you.
That's awesome. Well, we're so grateful that you discovered Leadr as well, Clint, and we are cheering you and Church at Viera on as you guys care for and develop your team and achieve your mission. So thanks so much for sharing your story today. We really appreciate it.
You got it, Holly. My pleasure.